Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
That's right. Daily Minnesota sports entertainment here with Mackie and Judd, our executive producer, Declan, who I almost just careened off the freeway there to start this show. Or we're going to play this clip to start with. No. We're already live.
We'll do it live. We'll do it live.
And we just want titles. That's all we want on this show. If you ever think we're being too hard on Minnesota sports teams, it's all from a place of love and wanting titles. That's all it is.
Yes. It's between that. It's a little selfish too, but damn it, we deserve titles. Yep. We all deserve titles. So suck it up and win a Super Bowl, another World Series. How about a Stanley Cup?
Yeah, I want
How
you guys.
How about the LOB, Phil?
I want the LOB.
What about the LOB?
I'd love the LOB. I think the Timberwolves are on track to win whatever the Summer League LOB equivalent is after that great performance last night. So we'll get to who gets it, who doesn't here in just a second. But on the subject of titles, I want people to take note when the 1991 Twins World Series championship team gathers this weekend at Target Field. Okay, look how old they are now. Okay, that's the last of the men's teams to win a championship in this town. Okay, those guys are all old. Look how old they are. Okay, we want more than one of those every 30 years or so.
You can't lose these playoff games. They're too old. You can't just take him. He's too
old.
He's too old.
He's too old. All right, who gets it? Who doesn't? Every Tuesday here on Mackie and Judd. You can't just let Judd be on a show. He's too old. Just look at him. He's too old.
I was 21.
He's too old.
When that ball hit the turf in left field, I believe I was. So that was October of 91. I believe I was 21 at the time, okay? And now I'm 51.
Yep. You're
Think
Benjamin
about that
Button.
for a second.
Benjamin Button.
This beard was dark back then. If you were watching us
did you have a beard in
on
the,
YouTube.
in the 80s? In the
No,
90s?
but it would have been dark.
Okay.
The hair was dark. Look at the temples. Look at how gray they are.
Looking great. Who gets it? Who doesn't?
I'm old. All right. So let me say this with all due respect, but I am now at the point of just being pissed off because this is ridiculous. So this is who doesn't get it, okay? Kirill Kaprizov, and more importantly, his agent, Paul, and I might butcher his last name. I tried to do it phonetically. I couldn't find it, so I couldn't find a correct pronunciation, but I don't care. Theofanus, I believe, is how you pronounce his last name, okay? I am so sick, and I'm not saying the Wild is blameless here, but let me tell you who doesn't get this from a standpoint of something that's just rubbing me the wrong way every moment now. Paul Theofanus has decided that he is going to somehow leverage the Kaprizov negotiations, in which he has no leverage if the young man wants to return to the United States or Canada and play in the National Hockey League, all right? He is week by week or every other week going to another media member to leak something. And Bill Guerin's ticked off. He should be. It's always been like, really? Are you really leaking that? And then last night it got to I think, a new height of stupidity. Frank Cervelli of the Daily Face-Off, who is very plugged in, obviously talked to our guy, Paul Theofanus, and he reports. And I'll go slow because it's so funny. He reports Kirill Kaprizov has a tentative agreement in place with CSKA Moscow on a 1-year, 8-figure deal in U.S. dollars. It's going to begin September 1st. What? What's going on here? Ellipses. Should a new contract with the Wild not materialize? But the Wild, this is more from the Cervelli tweet, appear ready and willing, according to Cervelli, to talk a medium-term length deal. So let me summarize.
We're ready to sign. We're ready to go back to Russia. Here it is. My pen's hovering over the contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Right here. See? I'm about to sign it.
And then the last thing that Theofanus tells Cervelli is the Kaprizov camp contends there has been no offer made since April. All right. This is so simple at this point.
All night. He he trapped me.
Quit with the
Pay him
BS.
that money.
Quit with the threats. if it's going to be a 3-year deal or maybe 4, and Kirill wants to explore free agency then at approximately the age of 28 or 29, that's going to happen. And at that point in time, he will have leverage. But stop with this just complete nonsense. If you want, and by the way, if he wants to go back to Russia, go back.
No,
just sign now.
Actually, no.
How dare you?
Don't
just
do that.
go back.
No,
How
actually,
dare you?
please don't do that. Actually,
Do not do that.
If you want to go back to Russia, I did this on my
you've gone too
Surly-
far.
I did this on my Surly video today, brought to you by our friends at Surly Brewing, and I'll say it again. Kirill, if you want to go back to CSKA Moscow, just go sign right now.
Judd's Hockey Show
But
does not
quit
endorse this
with
message.
this crap.
No, I was tracking you there up until the point where you just sent one of the top 5 players in the NHL to Russia.
It's an idle threat, though. Like, if you're really going to follow through, follow through.
I thought these Russian teams had no, that league. There's how many NHL players make 8 figures, $10 million or more a year?
No.
Probably not many.
And there are not a lot of players who belong in the National Hockey League playing in the KHL. Like, this is just an empty threat.
But do you think he
Unless
actually
he
has
wants
a
to go back.
$10 million 1-year contract, like ready
I
to
think he
rock and
does.
roll?
Yeah, it's Russia. I think he does.
Well, yeah, he'd probably get paid by different people. But my point is, quit with the threats. Either follow through and do it. Like he
doesn't want to do. He wants to play in the NHL.
I understand that, but then let's work the deal out. But let's take the agent out of basically trying to threaten Bill Guerin and Wild fans every other week. I'm sick of it. It's stupid.
But I don't think you can just remove the agent from the conversation.
You can't, but I'm saying I'd like to.
Like, you can't just
It's Russia. We're talking about Russians. Why can't you do it, Dex?
We can't just get Vinny Chase to take the movie without talking to Ari Gold. That's not how this works.
But it's stupid. It's in 3 years he can become a free agent, and that's when you go sign with the Rangers or Kings, which is what this guy's client Artemi Panarin, when he left Columbus, did. All right, so in 3 or 4 years, if he wants to hit the market and go elsewhere, that's fine. But this is just the height of ludicrousness to go through this every other week and say things like, "We've got a deal done. We've got a deal done, but that doesn't mean we won't come back." Then the guy wants to come back.
I just think
I'm tired of it.
In terms of who doesn't get it on the agent front, this is where I do agree with Judd. And I am not advocating that Bill Guerin should take the stance of shoving him into Russia. Like, don't play that game of chicken.
You really want to go back to Russia?
You need Kirill Kaprizov on this team this year. So figure it out, Bill Guerin. But if you're the agent and you're leaking stuff like, hey, got a $10 million First of all, if you have a 1-year, $10 million contract, shouldn't you just, you probably should just take it, right? Like, you're not going to get paid. Is he going to get paid $10 million a year on his Wild contract next year? Or is it going to be more like $7 or $8 or $9 million? Like, he probably could make more. If he really has a $10 million deal, why don't you go take it for 1 year and come back? Don't say September 1st, hey, I'm going to sign this thing in 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
I believe Russo reported yesterday that he has deals on the table for $8 to $9 million.
Okay.
But and over 7-8 years too, by the way. But Kaprizov's camp wants short term and even more money.
So he wants like a 3-year deal for $10 million.
He wants a 3-year deal for 10.
Something.
Yeah, and then so he can cash out and pull a Panarin and go to wherever he wants 3 years from now. But Kirill, just I mean, I hear Judd's frustration. I'm with him.
I'm just sick of it.
And I'm also sick of the Fiala thing. I thought this was going to be an exciting Wild off season, okay?
Yeah, this is
and the
a good
last
point.
month has been hell trying to figure out what the hell's going on with Kevin Fiala and Kirill Kaprizov. Like, I don't even know if this is a who gets it or who doesn't get it here, because I respect the hell out of Bill Guerin, friend of the show. He comes on here all the time. I like the guy. But I'm not really sure what direction this team is about to take. And I think a lot of other people, too, national pundits, are starting to agree that this is not going as swimmingly and as planned as it was a month ago when they bought out Parise and Suter.
No, it's not going well. I'm so tired of going to everyone with a Twitter account. I'm probably next.
Yes.
Hey, Judd, it's Paul, Kirill's agent. Let me tell you right now, he has just signed in Russia a 5-year deal.
It's a 12-figure deal now. It's a 12-figure deal. 1 year.
That voids.
We added a comma. It's going to be great.
It only voids if next month is September, Judd. Go bleep yourself.
Amazing. All right, my first who gets it, who doesn't is powered by Federated Mutual Insurance Company. All right. If your company has had risks and hurdles thrown at it over the past year and a half, No better company than Federated. Been around since 1904. Over 100 years of experience, expertise, resources. You can find out more about MyShield and what MyShield can do for your business. Help you sleep better at night if you're a business owner. Federatedinsurance.com. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. All right? Who doesn't get it? Major League Baseball. But not for the reason everybody was screaming yesterday. I think we saw, the news leaked. I think it was Andrew Marchand. Was it Marchand?
Yes.
Leaked the Barstool Sports and Major League Baseball. This was the hot topic yesterday, at least on my social media feeds. The Barstool Sports and Major League Baseball are deep into conversations about Barstool taking some sort of like midweek package of games and being able to blast them out, broadcast them on their YouTube channels, etc., and then build events around them, kind of like they're doing with the Arizona Bowl, and a gambling aspect, etc. And people are up in arms because of Barstool has a seedy history. Dave Portnoy, a lot of controversy. We can get more into that here in a second. But why doesn't Major League Baseball get it? Because they've been so unable to capture the attention of people under the age of 35, 25, 35 for the last 10 or 15 years. They have let that audience erode and lose interest. The games are slow-paced. The players aren't nearly as visible as players in other leagues. The free agency period isn't fun because there's no structure and deadlines. The sport just doesn't have many moments of like must-watch action either in the season or in the offseason. The NBA is packing arenas for Summer League, right? And the NBA has, go look at like the Instagram followings of both leagues combined. And Major League Baseball can barely get anyone to watch Sunday Night Baseball. So, why doesn't Major League Baseball get it? Because they have for years neglected young audiences, and now, out of desperation, they have to explore partnerships that might be controversial, like this one with Barstool Sports.
I like it. It's 1,000% true, and I think the thing though that baseball. So here's the one thing: baseball, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I'm going to talk about a commissioner I have long blasted. Baseball, which almost certainly is going to have a lockout starting in December, which I think is going to extend into 2022. They have to take a page from the year that the National Hockey League lost a season and said the most important thing that was said behind the scenes was not the finances. That was important. More important was, and they were right, our game is boring. That game had turned into a defensive. The Wild was good in part because Jacques Lemaire had won, which was to trap, right? I mean, it was. I remember going to games back then, and it's my favorite sport, and they were unwatchable. Like, it was like, this is crap, and people are paying to watch this. Baseball has the same problem now. So, Phil, my question is this. Does baseball have the foresight and the ability that if they are out to say, we need to come back, not with a completely new game, but with some substantial fundamental changes that are going to offend the purist, but to get the people that you're talking about involved and say, oh, this is sort of fun.
This is the uncomfortable part about this, all right? Barstool Sports is probably the most popular sports media platform for people under the age of 30. And I don't know how we would quantify that exactly, but if you look at like time spent consuming on social media and followers and the most popular podcasts and some of those popular sports YouTube channels, I mean, for God's sakes, Dave Portnoy does One Bite Pizza reviews, and that YouTube channel has like 500,000 subscribers of him just like taking a bite out of a piece of pizza. Like, they build audiences under 30. That's what they do.
Yes.
And so, Major League Baseball is looking around and they're not oblivious. People are like, maybe Major League Baseball should do some research. And look what Dave Portnoy said about this. It's like, do you think they just, they've done a lot of oblivious things. So I guess I wouldn't put it past Rob Manfred to just stumble into a room obliviously like, oh, Barstool Sports. But they probably did a bunch of research and still determined, yeah, we're desperate enough to get people under 30 to like and consume our product that we should explore a controversial partnership like this. So from that perspective, like, it is very forward thinking from that perspective. How do we get 18 to 30-year-olds to be more immersed in our product? Lean into new media, lean into young brands, and lean into gambling, right? But on the flip side, you have to deal with the checkered past that comes with Barstool. ESPN had the same thing when they partnered with, it was that Van, it was the
Barstool
Pardon My
Van.
Take Van show, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They did like one episode, and Sam Ponder blew a whistle behind the scenes and was like, has nobody ever looked into the background of this company?
Yep.
Now, since that was like 4 or 5 years ago, since that, they have hired a woman named Erica Nardini to be their CEO. Their CRO and CFO are both women, and 3 of their top vice presidents that oversee different departments, communications, production, and I believe merchandising, are all women too. So it's like Dave Portnoy and like 7 women who run
And
that
Portnoy
company.
sold it too, right? It's owned by a company now, I believe,
Penn,
as well.
Yeah, a gambling company, Penn Gaming.
Yeah, so it's
but Portnoy
it's
is still
huge.
very much, he's the president and the face and
Right.
the background and everything. And so if you take that away, it gets a little less dicey. But like, it is definitely a controversial potential partnership that baseball is exploring here. And I found this. This is from morningconsult.com. It's a graphic that shows, and I can't pop it up on the screen. It's on my other computer here, but interest in NFL and Major League Baseball fading among Generation Z, and it's fading much more aggressively for baseball. But percentage of adults who say that each professional sports league is their favorite among Gen Z, so the younger, like new adults, basically. NFL, 37%, NBA up to 28%, baseball down to 15%. So, and among all adults, NBA has almost doubled, and Major League Baseball almost cut in half when you compare it to the rest of adults.
Yes.
MLS, right behind Major League Baseball among Gen Z.
Oh, soccer's
very
huge with Gen Z. They love it.
So it's like baseball's just looking for ways. The average age of a baseball viewer, the median age of a baseball viewer is almost 60 years old in 2021.
But baseball needs to fundamentally, in some ways, change the game.
Yes.
And I don't mean, I'm not talking about going to home run derbies or something like that, but I'm talking about change the game. Like, they need to speed the game up. They need to do things. They need to do whatever they can do to create action, because the problem is this: home runs are really, really cool. Long home runs are cool, but they're not action on a consistent basis. And that's what baseball does not have. And everyone now has no attention span.
The other thing, too, and then I'll shut up, so Declan, who I think is technically, no, you're not a Gen Zer, are you? Are you a
Millennial.
Gen Zer? You're a millennial?
Millennial.
You're kind of on the fringe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the other thing, too, is baseball, the off season is where you can really gain traction with Major League, with the NBA and NFL. It's like 1 week, 2 weeks out of every year in March, everyone is glued to the left guards in free agency. You have no idea who these people are, but you know that for 2 weeks, all these free agents are going to sign contracts, help your team, you do research. Baseball, there is no such 2 week period. Free agency starts like 5 days after the World Series over, and then it basically ends in spring training. It's like a 5-month waiting game between agents and teams. If baseball came up with a 2 week period, if they created more structure and contractual structure and said this is the 2 week period where all the action's going to take place, and you could brand it, people would get excited. Okay, all right, I only have to pay attention for 2 weeks. Who's the third baseman that can help my franchise, right? What are the big trades that are going to happen? And it's just, you can't really wrap your arms around it. So anyways, Dex, how do you feel about this whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, it morphs into who doesn't, but it's two things. It's baseball fans who want the status quo, and then people who truly don't understand Barstool Sports. So the baseball fans that want the status quo are aware that their game is dying, but then when a new idea comes into play, they said, oh no, God, a runner at second base for the integrity of the game. Oh my God, we could never do that. When Barstool Sports comes in and says, hey, this could actually be a partnership, it's a young up-and-coming, the misogynist, there's no chance you're going to... What? Tell me the plan here, Einstein. What is the exact plan that you want baseball to do to basically lift itself up from the grave, which is where it's at? And I think with people with Barstool is, yes, there are some idiots that work there, and have represented a fraction of people that I absolutely despise. And I think where something gets a little misinterpreted, I don't think Phil meant it as the way he said this here in his tweet, but when he said, Erica Nardini is the CEO and there's women that are in position of power, obviously that doesn't necessarily absolve all the bad things that men have done at that company and have said, like Portnoy and other people, and I don't think Phil isn't trying to insist that, but they are trending in a right direction. If you listen to Erica Nardini on She Does on her Token CEO podcast, that is literally the most forward-thinking person in this company or in this landscape of sports media, and that's the kind of person that Barstool should be building around. So yes, there's bad. Like we had an issue at ESPN, right? 2 months ago with Rachel Nichols and Maria Taylor. Maria Taylor being denied opportunities, and we had to have another uncomfortable conversation with race. Am I going to stop watching ESPN and stop supporting ESPN because there's something that has happened here? The NFL sweeps Ray Rice under the rug. Am I going to stop supporting the NFL? Look, there's bad people in every landscape, and Barstool with trying to get baseball up from the dead is worth the risk, basically. It's completely worth the risk.
Another thing, too, Barstool just raised more money for small businesses. Like, nobody talks about this, right? Like, and I'm not even a stoolie. I feel like I'm defending a company I'm not even, like, loyal to. But they just raised, like, tens of millions of dollars for small businesses during COVID, right? Like, there's a lot of good things that kind of go under the radar as they try to change their image. And this is all part of them trying to change their image. And I do find it kind of ironic that a bunch of media members and people within baseball are the ones blowing the whistle on misogyny, and there's a racist comment that was made. Baseball needs to clean up its own house with this stuff. And maybe people are arguing, well, partnering with Barstool is not going to help with that process, but trust me, baseball has a much more misogynist and racist history and current situation than Barstool Sports does. All right.
The problem, too, though, is this. Baseball has no bleeping plan. Baseball has no plan for how to help itself. And it's frustrating to watch. Rob Manfred is there to try and break the players as much as possible. He's not there for ideas. He's not there because he gives a damn about the game. He's not there to grow a game that desperately needs growth. He is there to get the best deal possible when the CBA is up in December, and that's it. And the other thing that drives you crazy is, so yesterday, the leak to the Post is so obviously baseball, being like, we got to float it out. The Barstool thing, we got to float it out. Let's see how the public reacts. Let's see how they react. You have no plan. Like, your plan is to call Andrew Marchand and say, you are about the only guy left that still writes a really good and respected media column in the damn country. We're going to float this past you. And now I'm sure today that they're like, we probably can't do this now. We probably can't do this.
They can't now. They're not going to now.
But it drives me nuts. They have no plan. Like, how does this sport have no plan? I could be named commissioner today and have a plan. We could start planning. So could you guys.
But like a lot of people saying, this is the right thought process. Partner with an entity that can help you reach 25 and 30-year-olds, right? But not that entity, not Barstool. And my question would be, if not Barstool, what other entity that's big enough with enough scale and cred among 18 to 30-year-olds would you partner with? Because like at least the NBA itself is inherently popular among young people. So whoever they partner with, they're bringing a young set of eyeballs to that platform.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know, like, who else? People are like, well, what about John Boy? Well, John Boy's awesome, but John Boy is like a fraction of the scale of audience size and inertia as Barstool has. So I don't know. It's a really tough spot for baseball to be in. All right, Declan, you're up next.
All right, I'll give a who gets it. I'll give a who gets it. A few Vikings rookies get it. Amir Smith-Marset and Kenny Nwangu absolutely get it. Finally, I think there's two rookies here that absolutely are showing off in training camp. Obviously, Christian Darrisaw is being first team on like the special teams. I saw that yesterday, so that's going well. Wyatt Davis is basically playing not even JV. He's playing 9th grade snaps too. Finally, there's a couple rookies here that appear to get it for the Vikings, and they're late round picks. But Nwangu has been turning the corner. Judd's been showing him off. Amir Smith-Marset's returning punts and finding himself in the competition for the wide receiver 3 position. After us kind of freaking out over Christian Darrisaw, and I know Phil has said give Oli Udoh a chance, and we can absolutely still do that. But Kenny Nwangu and Amir Smith-Marset appear to get it, and I'm excited that we actually have a couple Vikings rookies who are making contributions in training camp.
I'm afraid at this point in time, for the first half of the 2021 season, that the top 3 rounds, though, are going to have no contributors. I'm afraid Darrisaw's not going to play. They didn't have a second-round pick. Kellen Mond comes back today, and I didn't expect him to contribute, but I did expect him to get valuable training camp experience.
Yeah.
And then I think the linebacker that they also took with a third-round pick isn't going to contribute. So But yeah.
Hey, real quick.
Yep.
As we're having this discussion, Dave Portnoy is going in on Twitter on Mike Rand from the Star Tribune right now. So if you're looking for a fun Twitter fight,
Portnoy is
between Dave Portnoy, dunking on Mike Rand from the Star Tribune.
What did he put?
So Rand, I'm just reading this for the first time. So Rand wrote something at least on StarTribune.com, coming out against Barstool as a company.
Yes.
The Barstool brand was built on a premise of misogyny. They're honest about it, I suppose, but that doesn't make it better. And Portnoy comes in. It's amazing how little research the people who criticize us do on us. I'm just curious, Mr. Randall. He calls him Randall. Have you done any research on us? Did you know we had a female version of our site called Stoolala? Did everything we did from a female perspective? Woman who ran it went on to become one of the biggest YouTube stars of all time and change the industry. Actually, it's funny because one of Barstool Sports' biggest podcasts that just jumped over to Spotify is literally a women's empowerment podcast called Call Her Daddy. It's very vulgar, but it's like all about like women taking the torch, you know?
Yep.
A lot of my girlfriends love it, yeah.
I listened to one episode one time when I was like, this definitely is not for me.
Not for me.
Oh my
it's not
God.
for me, dog, but I get it. I get why it's a thing.
So, listen, I know their checkered past. There's a lot of dark skeletons, but kind of shows how desperate baseball is.
Baseball's right now running the other way. Can't do this. Look at the reaction. Look at the
Judd,
reaction.
Who gets it, who doesn't?
Okay, who gets it? I'm going to go with, and this is premature to a certain degree, but I think it's in the right spirit of things. The Chicago Bears for doing what the Vikings wanted to do and actually pulling the trigger to move up for the 11th pick in the draft in a trade to get a first-round quarterback in Justin Fields, who is impressing in camp. I know it's early, but you know what? I appreciate that because the Bears, who have been for how long, since basically Sid Luckman and maybe Cutler to a certain point, trying to find a quarterback, said, you know, the Vikings are making some phone calls. Bleep it. We're going to jump them. We're gonna get the 11th pick. We are going to take Justin Fields. We are going to, right or wrong, and this is the key to why they get it, we're going to take a cheap, controllable quarterback who might be damn good. The Chicago Bears. Because these are the type of chances that you have to take with a quarterback who you actually like. So I don't mean Christian Ponder. That's who gets it.
Yeah, it's kind of this. I always laugh at the Bears because they always just screw everything up at that position, but it kind of feels like they might have gotten this one right. Right? It kind of feels like for the first time in
I like how they're doing
about 50 years.
I like the fact he's not going to be forced to start immediately, and Dalton can. And yes, Dalton is old now, but it allows Fields some time to get used to things. I like the strategy, but I just like the fact that the Vikings and Bears both liked this kid, and the Vikings were calling around and clearly trying to lowball teams. Hey, would you take our third-round pick? And they're like, no. And the Bears are like, bleep it. We're going to go get this kid. Show conviction, because if you got this right, the trade-off, the upside is so big.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, it's possible the Vikings just liked Kellen Mond equally and decided, or slightly less, and decided, all right, we'd rather get Darisaw and Mond, but time will tell. Time will tell. My next one, presented by Dennis Kirk. Speaking of who gets it, Dennis Kirk, if you like to ride motorcycles, sport bikes, whatever it is, this is riding season right now. I would say riding season probably lasts into the fall, too, football season. So you got a few months here, and Dennis Kirk. Oh, my gosh.
You're right up to Duluth.
Oh, that's a beautiful drive or ride, whatever. But if you like to ride that stretch, North Shore, Dennis Kirk has 160,000 parts and accessories in stock, clothing and helmets as well. And if you order by 8 p.m., they ship the same day, and shipping is free for orders over $89. DennisKirk.com. Who gets it? I'll let Declan queue up this next audio/video soundbite. With no other comments needed, Anthony Edwards gets it.
What have you been up to this summer? Anything fun and unusual? Because I know you've been working on your game.
I learned a new, I got a new hobby, bowling. I'm really good at bowling now.
Oh.
Yeah, very.
Like strikes?
Yeah.
Bumpers or no?
Man, come on, man. Like 200. I'm bowling 200 for sure.
Okay, that's not what we talked about pre-interview. Tell me about Lake Minnetonka.
Oh, yeah, man. You know, I got baptized in Lake Minnetonka. I hit a couple backflips, swimming. I'm going back out there real soon. Meet me at Lake Minnetonka, all Minnesota fans. I'm going back out there. Jet skis, everything. We're going to have fun.
Can you swim?
Yeah, like Michael Phelps.
Like Michael Phelps?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Dude, he's amazing. Like, his personality, it's just this franchise. You look at Kevin Garnett by the time he was done playing in Minnesota, and Kevin Love and Jimmy Butler. It's like, and even Cat sometimes. Everyone just looks so downtrodden and beaten down by the whole process, right? The history of the franchise and the losing. And I hope that he doesn't lose that. But he's coming in here, and it feels like his personality and his game can just sort of put everything on his back and elevate. And I just love it. I hope he is the leader of this team starting in 2021-22.
So he is the poster child in my mind for when you can tell a guy gets it and people will follow him. Justin Jefferson is the same exact way. You cannot just say, you know what, I'm really good. Like Cat, I'm really good, so follow me, right? Look at how Ant and a guy like Jefferson, look at how they carry themselves. Look at how they people gravitate towards them because you want to be around that. That's the intangible thing that you can't just say, I'm really good, so follow me. When you're like Ant or Jefferson, you've got, for lack of a better term, a swagger that most human beings don't have.
But I think there also has to be sort of that dark side. I'm going to take over the game. I know when to get serious. Like,
they've got that. Yeah.
What I don't want is because he's got some Dwight Howard to his personality where he's just, hey, he's fun and there is kind of a gravitational pull. But when it was time to get serious, Dwight Howard was still like, oh, this is fun, right? And then his Kobe and some of his other teammates would always look at him like, dude, like there's a time to go into Dark Knight mode, into Mamba mode, right? And so I think that's it. Like, can he switch gears from charismatic, gravitational pull guy to, all right, zoop, now I'm dominating this game, and now we're going to win the next 6, right? Like, you got to be able to go back and forth a little bit.
I think part of that
is he class clown, fun guy, or is he fun guy, charismatic leader who can go into a dark space and win a playoff game? Right?
I think he's so competitive that he's got that. The thing I will say is when things don't go well for Cat, he incessantly starts to whine and yell at the refs. That's the thing in year 2 of Ant. I do not want to see. I don't want to see you driving to the hoop, being fouled, not getting the call, and standing there with your arms apart, like, what happened? Why didn't I get that call? I want to see that next step, which is, yes, it's the Wolves, but you are the guy who is looked to as the leader of this team. And because of that, you have a responsibility to lead in a positive way and a competitive way, but not the woe is me way. That drives me crazy.
There's also like this, I don't know, this might sound stupid, but I think there's nuance in the way that certain players complain to officials versus talk to officials in a sort of confident, this is my court sort of way. Sometimes Cat comes off as, and he's a great player, especially offensively, and I do think sometimes people pile on too much. Like there's a little something missing from a just like an alpha personality standpoint, but when he complains to officials, it's like, why is this happening to me? Like sort of vibe. That's how I observe it.
Yeah.
When Kobe complains to officials, it's like when he used to, and God rest his soul. Those alpha type players, it was, hey, you're wrong.
Jordan did
this
the same
is
thing.
my game, my court. Like, you need to be better as an official. You were wrong.
Yes.
Like, there's a nuance there. It's not, why is the world against me?
And you don't stop playing. Like, Cat will stop playing. That drives me crazy.
So, yeah. All right. I think we're on Declan here. Who gets it, who doesn't? Wrap us up.
All right. Who doesn't get it? This might start a war between Phil and I. Katie Thurston. You haven't seen it?
Oh, he has it?
All right.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, no.
Deal. That's fine.
Oh, controversy.
I will hold.
Controversy on the show.
I will hold.
Oh,
I figured
no.
you'd watched.
Who?
You
What?
only tweeted out you can't wait for the next series finale of the I figured you were going to watch it yesterday.
Listen.
So that's why I figured
I'm gonna throw my wife under the bus, okay?
Nice.
Listen. We both had some extra work to do last night. She had a little bit
Sure.
more than I did, and we decided to delay it. And so I'm going to
Okay.
fully throw my
All
wife
right.
under the bus for that. All right, we're going to watch
All
it
right.
tonight.
I blame
We're gonna watch
Mrs.
it
Mackey
tonight.
then. and then we can possibly discuss this as a bonus as we wrap on Wednesday. Because I'm going to hold it then. I'm going to hold it.
No spoilers. Okay.
You're good.
Okay.
Yep. So now I don't have any more because I'm out. But so now she's derailed a segment too, but it's fine. It's completely fine.
No, this is good. We'll do a bonus.
Derailed the segment. Blame her. Wow.
So that is Who Gets It, Who Doesn't Here every Tuesday on Mackie and Judd.